There's some over there. I can't find it.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It's so great to see you here today. Welcome to Pacific Unitarian. Today, we are blessed to have our settled minister, Pastor Joshua Berg, with us. Well, today is Easter. It's the end of Passover, and it's almost Earth Day. Lots of reasons to think about renewal, rebirth, and this year especially, resilience. My name, Leanne Hart. I'm your worship associate today. We represent progressive religious thought here in the South Bay. We welcome people of all creeds, races, sexual orientations, and gender identities. We gather here in this sacred space on the ancestral lands of the Tongva people. We strive to be better stewards of the land we are honored to inhabit. If anyone is here for the first time today, we welcome you and want you to know that we have religious exploration for school-aged children and childcare for preschoolers. Brunch is served on the patio after service. Today, the food ministry is providing lunch free of charge. Making a few announcements. First of all, I'd like to thank Pastor Joshua for providing a forest bathing experience yesterday. That was wonderful for those of us that went to the South Coast Botanic Garden and joined him in a meditation about nature. So, every year we look forward to our annual new member welcome ceremony. So if you have joined during this past year, it is on May 25th during the Sunday service. So please mark your calendars. And if you're planning to join, please take your paperwork or find out about the paperwork from Gabby in the office. Registration is now open for the June 6th through June 8th Camp de Benneville Pines weekend. It's a wonderful, yay! It's a wonderful experience. There's Janet Kistner in the back. She will answer any questions you have. And I want to thank Barbara Marriott for our Sunday flowers. She's not here today, but she made sure the flowers made it. Okay, the origins and intersections of modern identity and ideologies will not be held this Thursday. This is Dr. Haven Perez's class. It needs to be postponed, and we'll let you know when we have the date. Monday's food packing service is in need of supplies. Please bring gift cards to Gabby in the office. Let her know it's for Community's Child, that is, homeless mothers and children. Okay. Today's chalice lighting is a poem by a UU minister, Alex Klingenberg. It's called Waves. I go in and out, don't you? Into flow and gratitude and out of it again. Into grief and hopelessness and out of it again. Into routine, cooking, walks, connection, and then to bed, the bath, my head, my tears. These days call for the ability to sway into reality, sway into empathy, and back again. Dip toes into fear, anxiety, awareness, and rest in creativity, distraction, and comfort. We go in and out like tides, creating our own slow rhythms, finding the pulse of survival. May it be so.
Thank you, Leanne. That was beautiful. I love that selection, and I know Alex Klingenberg. Yeah. So what a beautiful poem. Let me get my glasses. Good morning, everybody, and happy Easter if you're celebrating. I'm Pastor Joshua. Well, lovely to see a full house here today and a lot of family members. It's so wonderful on such a beautiful morning. I will open our worship with words from the actor Sidney Poitier. I love this quote. He wrote, or he said, "I've reduced the concept of my existence by saying, I truly, truly try to be better tomorrow than I was today. And I mean better as simply a better human being. Not a better actor, not a better anything, but just a better human being. That will please me well. And when I die, I will not be afraid of having lived. Sidney Poitier. And with that, please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 397, Morning Has Come.
I think we're going to do the whole, like, teach it to them first and then do it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to tell them? Oh, he wants me to tell you something. There's a message from Severin. This is a round, and the women are going to follow me, and the men are going to follow our man.
And anyone in between, you can choose whichever you'd like.
Choose whichever you'd like. That's right. Let's all sing it together one time first. Then the women will start. Okay. Morning has come, night is away.
Rise with the sun and welcome the day.
Ladies, morning has come, night is away. Rise
Morning
with
has
the
come,
sun and
night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day.
Amazing. Now please welcome our religious education coordinator, Dr. Haven Perez, for our moment for all ages.
All right, yes. Could I have some of the young? Oh, we got a lot today. All right. Oh, Dylan. All right.
Please, everyone, all youth and everyone who's young at heart is free to join us.
All right. This is The Little Book of Joy by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. One of us grew up in a little house. One of us grew up in a big house. Our houses were on the opposite sides of the world. Often we were sad and lonely. Both of us wished for a friend. Sometimes the other kids wouldn't let us play, or they were very far away. We wondered if we would always be sad and lonely. But when we sat still and breathed in the quiet, we noticed something beautiful. If you just focus on the thing that is making you sad, then sadness is all you see. But if you look around, you will see that joy is everywhere. Joy is the warm, tingly feeling of the sun tickling your toes in the morning. It's the giggly, squiggly feeling when you are doing something silly. And it's the soft, snuggly feeling of being wrapped up, cozy in your bed at night. Even when you're caught in the rain and your joy is washed away, it's waiting at the bottom of a puddle. Even if you slam the door and your joy can't get in, it's just another side waiting in a loving hug. And even if there's a loud noise in the night and your joy gets scared away, it comes streaming right back with the light of the silvery moon. Joy is the bubbly, bouncy feeling of finding a good friend. And once you let joy in, like magic, your heart will always have room for more. We discovered that the more joy we shared, the more joy we had, and the more joy we had, the more joy we could share. So look for the joy all around you and share it. Write it in a letter, play it in a drum, sing it to the sky. It will travel up in the air, across the ocean. Someone will find it. And share it as it spreads from person to person. The world will fill with joy. Thank you. All right.
That would help. It is now time for candles of joy and sorrow. You are invited to come forward to share a brief personal joy or concern
on what are called in the Book of Joy, the 8 pillars of joy. So Haven read the Little Book of Joy, but there's also an adult version of the Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Tutu. And they outline the 8 pillars of joy. So I'm going to do their meditation from their book, because today we're talking about joy. And this is a meditation that allows you to receive the 8 pillars and to use them when you encounter a problem or when you confront pain or face suffering, whether these are major life changes or just daily dissatisfactions. The meditation is meant to smooth the ride on the bumpy road of life. Number 1, sit comfortably. Please sit in your chairs with your feet on the floor. You're welcome to sit any way that makes you most comfortable. Place your hands comfortably on your legs or in your lap. Take several long breaths through your nose. Let your body begin to relax as we reflect on each of these 8 pillars. And notice as your body relaxes even more and your heart feels lighter. Let a problem you're having come to mind. Reflect on that situation, whether it's a person or it's a challenge of some sort that may be causing you pain or suffering, whatever comes to mind. And now see yourself and your problem from a wider perspective. Try to step back from yourself and your problem. See yourself and your struggle as if you were watching a movie about your life. Now think about this problem from the future, from a year or a decade from now. Recognize that your problem will pass and see how your problem shrinks as you see it in the wider context of your life. That's perspective. Now, humility. See yourself as one of the 7 billion people and your problem as part of the pain and suffering that so many human beings experience. You can see your problem as part of the unfolding and the interdependent drama of life on our planet, and even see yourself from space. From that perspective, see how deeply connected we are with one another. You are part of the flowering of the universe in your particular place and time. Your connection to others makes you much stronger and much more capable of solving that problem. Let yourself feel love and appreciation for all those who have contributed to who you are and who support you in your life. And humor. Smile and see if you can chuckle at your problem, at your shortcomings, at your frailties. Try to find the humor in this situation and in your struggle. Even if it is a very grave and serious situation, there is often at least some humor that can be found. The human drama is often a comedy, and laughter is the saving grace. This ability to laugh allows us to accept life as it is, broken and imperfect, even as we aspire for a better life and a better world. Acceptance. Accept that you are struggling Accept that you have human limitations. Remind yourself that these painful realities do happen to us and those we love and in our world. And acknowledge that you cannot know all the factors that have led to this event. Accept that what has already happened and that there is nothing you can do to change the past. And now remind yourself, in order to make the most positive contribution to this situation, I must accept the reality of its existence. Forgiveness. Place your hand on your heart and forgive yourself for any part you have played in creating this problem. Recognize that you are only human and that you will inevitably fall short of your aspirations. You will hurt and you will be hurt by others. See the shared humanity of any others who are involved and forgive them for their part, if you can, and for their human limitations. Gratitude. Think of 3 or more people or things that you are grateful for in this problem or your life right now. There are things we are grateful for. Can you find ways in which your problem is actually contributing to your life and your growth? Are there people or things that are supporting you to face this challenge? Compassion. Keep your hand on your heart or place the palms of your hand together at your heart and have compassion for yourself and for how you are struggling. Remember, it takes time to grow and learn. You are not meant to be perfect. Suffering is inevitable. It is part of the fabric of life. There are going to be frustrations in any life. The goal is to use them as something positive. Feel the light of loving kindness shining from your heart throughout your entire body. And now send that compassion to your loved ones. Send it to anyone you are struggling with. And send it out to all who are in need of love and compassion. And finally, generosity. Feel the deep generosity that is in your heart. Imagine yourself radiating this generosity of the Spirit to all around you. How can you give your gifts? How can you transform your problem into an opportunity to give to others? When we give joy to others, we experience true joy ourselves. And as you come back into the space, we will hear a reading on this Easter morning from Sarah Cervantes from the Gospel of John.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This scripture comes from John 13, various passages. Jesus got up from the table, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel around himself. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was tied around him. After he had washed their feet and had put on his robe and had returned to the table, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example that you also should do as I have done to you."
Thank you, Sarah. And now our centering hymn. Please remain seated. Joy, Thou Goddess.
Elysium, mad with rapture to the man's laws indeed may sever, but thy magic joins again. Humankind is one forever, 'neath thy mild and gentle reign. Joy in nature's wide dominion, mightiest cause of all is found, and 'tis joy that moves the pinion when the wheel of time goes round. From the bud she lures the flower, suns from out their orbs of light. Distant spheres obey her power, far beyond all mortal sight.
Abraham and Sarah joined us in service today. Wonderful. Happy Easter again. Although I initially struggled, I just became the minister here back in September, so I initially struggled with officiating traditional sacred Christian holidays as a cultural Jew. I did Christmas and now I'm doing Easter. I realized as I was putting this service together that I am not the first culturally Jewish minister to observe the story of Easter. There may likely have been one before me that observed it in some fashion firsthand in or around the 1st century of the Common Era, or as his followers today would say, Anno Domini. Jesus, whether he was a philosopher, a priest, a prophet, a wise man, a collection of wise people, or just someone with some really good insights, was also, by all accounts, a Jew. So I'm not misappropriating. If I have any reason to be wary of officiating Easter, it would have more to do with my relationship to divine, my identity in that way. But as a Unitarian Universalist minister, I claim myself as an atheist in certain ways. And for those of you who are believers and who are here seeking a more traditional Easter celebration, who may be startled or even turned off by confronting a minister who is open about his atheist identity, let me reassure you, not only are you very, very welcome here, because Unitarian Universalism is deferential to all beliefs, I would venture that even though some of us may split around creation versus evolution or prime mover versus Big Bang, my secular philosophy of reverence for the wonder of life and the natural world, of respect for humanity, of the necessity of love for all, that secular philosophy, I would say, aligns pretty closely with the more religious conception of the divine. I think we align more than we differ. In fact, I would go so far as to say that secular philosophy of love aligns even closer than certain others today who claim Christian morals. I've shared that a song called Go Out in Joy was composed for my ordination in 2022. And I've permanently inscribed that idea with a tattoo on my arm to make certain that I remember it says go out in joy, especially to remember it in times of extreme anxiety. So my exploration of Easter today is meant to uncover where joy can be found in the story of Easter, but where it can be found for everyone. Easter, as we know, commemorates the resurrection of Jesus 3 days after his crucifixion. The story begins with a Jewish Passover Seder, where Jesus dines with his disciples, one of whom betrays him to the authorities. Jesus is then arrested, crucified and buried in a tomb, the story tells us. And according to the story, the tomb is later found to be empty. And then Jesus is resurrected, appears to his followers, prepares them to preach the gospel, to preach his good word, and then ascends to heaven. That's a summation of the story. And as someone like myself, not raised in the Christian tradition, I began preparing for this service by reading the scriptural retelling of the story of Easter in the Gospels. Sarah read a part of that. And for those who are unaware, the story is not told in a single book, as any of the biblical stories aren't, but rather in various texts that were written down decades, even generations after Jesus was to have walked the earth. The synoptic Gospels, Mark, Matthew, and Luke, tell a very similar version that is mostly a narrative. The later Gospel, the Gospel of John, which is what Sarah read from, rather than a straightforward narrative, is more a philosophical and a theological exploration meant not only to fortify Jesus' identity as the Son of God, but also to share lessons of morality. That's where I found the connection. I know that Christians find hope and they find joy in the Easter story. So I read the Gospels to ascertain where and how that joy arises and then is extracted for believers. And also then how I, as a secularist, might conceivably relate to that joy. I found something. I found something in the Gospel of John, which connects directly to an experience of true joy, which I had this past Thursday. I spent lunchtime on Thursday downtown at the Original Pantry Cafe. Does anyone know the Original Pantry Cafe? Yes. For those not well-versed in Angelino lore, I'll read the Gospel of Los Angeles. I'm just kidding. The Original Pantry Cafe, or the Pantry as it has been known, is famous for being one of the oldest restaurants in Los Angeles, and it is also famous for never being closed and never being without a single customer. It's in its entire existence. When I arrived on Thursday, it was closed. Yeah. After over 100 years in operation, it was unfortunately shuttered on March 2nd of this year. The Pantry was also one of the only unionized restaurants. The staff were part of a union, and they were paid and they were treated well. The restaurant was purchased by former Mayor Richard Richard J. Riordan, and since his death, it is now owned by his trust, the Richard Riordan Trust. And the trust is considering selling the Pantry to someone who wants to reopen it without its union and paying much lower salaries, even to people who have been there, working there for decades. So a social justice group I work with called CLUE, the one I mentioned that Sithibin is part of, it's Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice, is doing work to support the employees' struggle to get their jobs back, to reopen it with the union and retain their union status and retain the pay rate that they had. They're fighting for that. And so we were there on Thursday supporting them. The Riordan family are devout Catholics, as are many of the Pantry's employees. And so the employees requested that we show support by coming down and undertaking a Holy Week tradition observed by Catholics and some other Christian denominations on what is known as Maundy Thursday, and it is what Sarah read, of washing feet. Greg at camp didn't observe that tradition, obviously, because his feet were dirty, but that's okay. We'll wash them later. It was just funny that you were saying that about the dirty feet, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be talking about washing feet. In the Middle East, of course, during the time Jesus supposedly lived, it was full of desert sand and unpaved roads on which people trod with bare feet and with sandals. So entering another's home, be it a house or be it a tent, meant bringing in a lot of dirt. So it was common practice to wash another's feet. It was common during that time. And usually it was someone of lower status or caste washing the feet of their superior, whatever that means. And the story of Jesus in the Gospel of John turned this on its head, as you heard. And the teacher and the Lord, as it says in there, washed the feet of his disciples. This was the ritual verse, the ritual in the verses of the New Testament we just read, also the part of the Easter story. This was the part of the story to which I connected, to which I found joy. I'm not a Catholic, nor have I undertaken this ritual before, but completely separate from any religious meaning, washing the feet of these struggling workers, which I did on Thursday, brought me, as a human being, more joy than I could have ever imagined. The idea of washing the foot of someone we don't know. In the West, it might be immediately uncomfortable, even repulsive to think about, given our conditioning in this culture. However, the actual act is so intimate and it's so giving. It levels out any thought of inequality, and it brings forth clearly the reality that as human beings, we are all absolutely equal and unequivocally interconnected. Try looking at someone's bare feet and not think that we are the same. A person's title, a person's residence, a person's dress, a person's job, anything else that would suggest a caste system, it just distinctly falls immediately, or any caste distinctions, it falls immediately away when you are wrapping a towel on another's bare foot. You find yourself sharing a moment, not as someone of importance, serving someone somehow beneath you, but rather as a human being serving another human being, equal on every level that truly matters. Before this ritual, I was having a bad morning, I have to say. My wife will be surprised about this, but I was honking at people as I drove through LA. After the ritual, filled with the joy of that human connection, I was the most conscientious driver, concerned only with producing joy in giving to others even more. For Christians, much of the joy in the story of Easter comes from the idea of hope and salvation in Jesus' resurrection. Bless you. For me, joy relates to this idea of service that Jesus talked about. Serving others, taught by Jesus, by the Easter story, as well as taught by just about every other parable you can imagine. In fact, to better illustrate this idea of lasting joy through service to others, let me ask you to turn to your own imaginations for a moment. Think about a time that you have helped someone without considering your own needs. Have you lifted someone who fell? Have you offered charity to an unhoused person? Are you the caretaker to family members who are in need? Sometime you have helped a person without considering your own needs. Certainly, of course, doing these things, there are struggles and there are sacrifices with these things. Not every moment of this service is pleasurable. But recall how you ultimately felt doing those things. I'd venture a guess ultimately, in the end, it was joy, pure and untarnished. To further validate that there is lasting and unadulterated joy in service to others, I turn to the words of some living sages. This book, the authors of our story today, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. In that book, the Book of Joy, they write about service as joy. When Archbishop Tutu was asked about profound joy that is available to all immediately, without waiting for things like the joy from a new job or falling in love or getting rich, etc., just available to us immediately, he responded. He said, I mean simply to say that ultimately our greatest joy is when we seek to do good for others. And when His Holiness the Dalai Lama was asked what it was like to wake up each morning with joy, he responded too. He said, for a non-theist like myself, we have that in common, but who is a Buddhist, as soon as I wake up, I remember Buddha's teaching, the importance of kindness and compassion, wishing something good for others, or at least to reduce their suffering. Then he said, I remember that everything is interrelated. The teaching of interconnectedness, which is also one of our values as you use. So then the Dalai Lama said, I set my intention for the day, that this day should be meaningful. And meaningful means, if possible, service and help others. And if not possible, then at least not to harm others. And that's a meaningful day. The 8 pillars of joy that we went through in today's meditation, perspective, humility, humor, acceptance, forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, and generosity, comprise what His Holiness calls a complete generosity of spirit. And he writes that, in fact, taking care of others, serving others, helping others, ultimately is the way to discover your own joy and have a happy life. So this is one way I interpret the idea of going out in joy. Moving through one's day, going out in each moment, seeking opportunities to serve others. Recognizing, as the Dalai Lama wrote, that everything is interrelated, that we are all interconnected, and therefore being of service produces joy for all. And finally, there is another way I think about the idea of the phrase going out in joy that provides me with inspiration of how to lead my life. It is that final going out in joy, leaving our earthly existence having produced joy through service to others. I'd ask you to imagine once again, what would be more meaningful to you on your deathbed? Knowing you drove a fancy car that may have given you fleeting excitement and happiness, or leaving with the knowledge that you were of invaluable service to another human being. Which joy would you rather accompany you in those last moments? Not to mention resonate in the lives of others long after you are gone. For me, it's the latter. So returning to the lesson of the foot washing in the story of Jesus at the Last Supper, the lesson is not just to be in service to others, but since Jesus knew unquestionably that he would soon die, it was this lesson of living each moment in life and living it all the way up to your Last Supper in service, all the way up to your last breath in service, so that you and so that everyone you encounter are always and forever going out in joy. And now, Leanne. Thank you.
is now time for our offertory. Your contributions show your commitment to the mission and vision of Pacific Unitarian. Each time you give, you renew that commitment. And as a result, you support all that we believe and all that we do here. Together, this is its own special gift. The spirit of trust and generosity, we gratefully accept your offering.
I'm trying to tell you something about my life. Maybe give me insight between black and white. And the best thing you ever done for me is to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life after all. Well, darkness has a hunger that's insatiable, and lightness has a call that's hard to hear. And I wrap my fear around me like a blanket. I sailed my ship of safety till I sank it. I'm crawling on your shores. And I went to the doctor, I went to the mountains, I looked to the children, I drank from the fountains. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source, the closer I am to find. Closer I am to find. And I went to see the doctor of philosophy, with a poster of Rasputin and a beard down to his knee. He never did marry or see a B-grade movie. He graded my performance. He said he could see through me. I spent 4 years prostrate to the higher mind, got my paper and I was free. And I went to the doctor, I went to the mountains, I looked to the children, I drank from the fountains. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source, the closer I am to find. The closer I am to find. I stopped at a bar at 3 a.m. to seek solace in a bottle or possibly a friend. And I woke up with a headache like my head against the board, twice as cloudy as the night before. And I went in seeking clarity. And I went to the doctor, I went to the mountains, I looked to the children, I drank from the fountains. I went to the doctor, we went to the mountains, we looked to the children, we go from the fountains, we go to the Bible, we go through the workout, we read up on revival, we stand up for the lookout. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. The less I seek my source, the closer I am to find. Yeah, the closer I am to find. The closer I am to find. Closer I am
Give it up, Abraham Cervantes and our Spirit of Life Choir. Awesome. And now please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River.
Like a river, I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. In my soul, I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. In my soul, I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
This church is dedicated, please, if you remain standing for just a moment longer if you can. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there is unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, in spite of death, and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts, now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. And now our service truly begins.
Yeah, please stay for the postlude, if you will. This is actually the song that was commissioned for my ordination, Go Out in Joy. Some of you have heard it.
Are we turning that?